Welcome back into the North Star Takes podcast. I'm Bailey Paulicki. He's Jacob Liberta. We're a Minnesota sports podcast, so if you're a Minnesota sports fan or sports fan in general, please hit that subscribe button and click the like button on this video to help spread the word about our channel to other sports-loving fans. And today we're going to be talking Minnesota Wild as they have just dropped Game 4 to the St. Louis Blues, tying the series up at 2 games apiece, which was kind of expected, I think, especially after we came out of our home ice situation, our first 2 games tied at 1. I think you and I had both said, just get one in St. Louis, bring it back to St. Paul, tied at 2. A little unfortunate the way the game went down today. I felt like the Wild had a good chance to complete a comeback there and, maybe force it to overtime and steal a victory with just all the injuries St. Louis has on their blue line. But there's no question St. Louis outplayed us in the first period. Kevin Fiala takes that bad, questionable, high sticking penalty where the Blues player kind of forces his stick up into his face. Of course, 4-minute power play. We did kill that off, though, I believe, right?
Yeah, we did. That was a really nice penalty kill. That was a great sign.
Right, but they peppered us with shots. I mean, I think that we had given up over 20 shots in the first period or something like that.
Yeah, I remember the last I saw it, once it was winding down, I saw like 18. I was like,
Yeah,
that's just
18 or
ridiculous.
19.
And we're countering with 4 of our own. So
yeah, exactly. It was not a good first period, but we were lucky to escape with a tie game there. Kaprizov, of course, just continues his torrid stretch.
absolutely.
And then second period, we kind of fell asleep for a few minutes stretch there, and the Blues scored 2 quick goals. We're down 3-1. We get a quick one in the third period as Boldy kind of, is able to knock one in that's sitting on the line. Yep. And then it's just kind of a scramble the rest of the game. They're trying to claw back, trying to get that extra goal. And then the second we pull the goalie, the Blues fire one all the way down the ice, just like Brodin did in Game 3 to seal the game. So I've got a lot of thoughts, but I want to get your thoughts first just on maybe not necessarily this game, alone, but maybe just the last 2 games here, splitting them in St. Louis.
Yeah, I guess on a micro level, talking about these last couple games before getting into the whole series, I guess it kind of felt like it might shake out this way, just off a really resounding win in Game 2, going on the road. The Wild kept that energy going and won pretty handily in Game 3. So
yeah,
that felt like it really aligned with what I thought as far as momentum goes with this team. But then I also felt the opposite coming into this Game 4, being like, okay, now we're up 2-1, which is great because it's like you win this Game 4, feels like he's almost having the bag. I know obviously It's not teams that come back from 3-1 leads before, but it's like they gotta beat you 3 times in a row. So like that's a lot. And how many times did this Wild team under Evason lose 3 in a row? So So I felt like if we got to that point, we'd be in great shape, obviously. But at the same time, like on the other side, you're playing still a really good hockey team, and now they're in desperation mode where it's like you can't lose both games on home ice. So they're gonna come out really on the attack, and that's exactly what they did in that first period. I mean, that they peppered us, like you said, with just about 20. I mean, even if it was over 20 shots in the first period, and then obviously even out by the end of the game, I think I saw they ended up out shooting us by 4. I want to say so. Like in the end, the Wild weathered the storm great the first period, which felt like a good sign. It felt like, okay, if we're tied walking away from that, then it feels like we have a good chance here. But yeah, he just had the fluky own goal. Obviously, Foligno trying to clear it and then bounces it off, flurries back into the net. So then obviously that gets the crowd going, and they're in the lead again. Then short after, it just compounds itself because then I think it was Kyrou who had the goal, make it 3-1. Then you just went playing from behind. That gets tough. And then obviously, like you said, you come out in the third period. Boldy grinds that line grinds for a goal. Then you make it interesting, so you're all the way in it to the end. And then again, Perron ends it with just like end to end, just a shot that's like not going to happen too often, but just happened in that moment. So I don't know. Looking back though, this is what I was hoping for. Like you said, now you just got to win your home games. It shouldn't. I know you're playing a good team, but we're also a very good home team in our own right. So realistically, I feel really good about our chances to advance. It's just taking care of business, doing what we usually do, and not straying too far off the course as far as like, I don't know, getting caught up in a loss like this. Because I think this was just a desperate Blues team that found a way. But I think we can bounce back because I truly believe we're the better team. So better teams win on home ice.
Yeah, I mean, my main takeaway is like the sky is not falling on this team.
Yeah,
my level of trust in this team is the highest of any of our favorite sports teams. Just because, I mean, they got the resume. I know they don't have necessarily the playoff experience to earn that trust necessarily, but with how great of a regular season they had, all the games we saw them come down from multiple goals with the goalie pulled.
Hmm.
Although I don't think pulling the goalie works as well in the playoffs just because everything's so much tighter.
Yeah, true.
But you know, being down a game in the series early on didn't bother me too much just because, like you said, it's a long series. Just win that second home game and then get it back to 1-1. You steal one in St. Louis. Now it's the same situation. Now it's a 3-game series. We're in the same spot that the Timberwolves were, tied at 2 after 4 games. So hopefully the Wild just take care of business at home. It would be nice if it didn't go 7 and we were able to finish it in 6, but
Yeah.
obviously having game 7 at home would be massive. But I have trust in this team. They're a really good team. They're well coached. Obviously, Dean Evason's done a phenomenal job. And, they're staying competitive. Game 1 wasn't super competitive. I thought today's game was very competitive. Obviously, the final score doesn't indicate that. But I think once we get some of our main contributors kind of falling back into line a little bit, like I think Zuccarello has looked pretty poor this entire series. He had that goal in game 3. But other than that, he really, like, his passing hasn't been that great. He's been turning the puck over. Hartman has been quite bad offensively. Defensively, he's been a little better, but offensively, he hasn't shown up. And Kevin Fiala, I mean, the dude can't stay out of the freaking penalty box.
Yeah, I think Fiala feels like the biggest no-show so far.
Yeah, and he's supposed to be like our second, best offensive player.
Mm-hmm.
And he's been a no-show. Like you said, he's been sitting in the penalty box. He hasn't done anything on offense. So I know he had that goal taken away from him by Kaprizov in, what was it, game 2?
Yeah.
So, it's just, I don't know. I think these guys still have, they'll still show up. I still trust that they'll be there. Fleury's been rock solid in the net, but it kind of makes you wonder as this series progresses here, do they maybe go to Cam Talbot at some point just to give, if anything, just give Fleury a little rest? I mean, I don't know if you want to play him 7 games in a row necessarily when you really have another quality goalie in Cam Talbot. So that'll be an interesting decision. But I thought our defense was a little loose again today. Dumba was atrocious in some moments. He had some good plays, but I mean, that Kyrou goal, he turns the puck over, then he comes around the other side of the net where Kyrou is. He whiffs on a check when he should have just poke checked him. Kyrou steps around him, lifts the backhander over Fleury. That's what you get with Matt Dumba, man. And that's why, even though Fiala's been a no-show in these playoffs, I'm a huge proponent. If you have to choose one over the other, it's got to be Fiala over Dumba, just because Dumba is so prone to mistakes like that, and those things kill you in the playoffs.
Yeah, 100%. I couldn't agree with you more there. I feel like we've been saying that all year, though we haven't kind of strayed away from that take for choosing giving the money to Fiala over Dumba. So that's certainly going to be a hard decision for Gary when that comes. But obviously, we got some season left here to hash this out. But
Yeah,
I guess looking at another trend of this game, I would say too, was, and really the trend of this series, like the games we've lost, just abysmal power play. Like between game 1 and game 4, just 0 for 10 on the power play. Like that can't happen. But then in wins like in game 2, I remember we came out right away, went 2 for 2 on the first 2 power plays. So it's like just finding ways to put pucks in the net when you got the man advantage. I think that's huge in playoff games because obviously the Blues have great special teams both ways, both the penalty kill and the power play. So if you can somehow match that and mitigate that advantage for them, I mean, that proves huge dividends because obviously we're a better 5-on-5 team. So if you can find any success as far as like power play goals or scoring power play goals, I mean, that's going to take you like much farther. So I know it sounds kind of obvious, but at the same time, it's like this feels kind of like a reoccurring problem and a huge trend in Wild losses, not only in this series, but just looking back at the whole season in general.
I'm really glad you brought that up. I should have brought this up right off the top, but I want Darby Hendrickson fired. I am sick of this horrid power play. The penalty kill's gotten a little better. They did a really nice job today, I thought, after, it seemed like it was like a train going to the penalty box just constantly there for a while. But the penalty kill's gotten better, which is good because St. Louis obviously has a really good power play. But I think part of that too is St. Louis has so many injured defensemen that they're playing 5 forwards on the power play, and I think that's kind of mixing some things up a little bit. But penalty kill or the power play, excuse me, is just atrocious. I mean, they're keeping it all on the outside. There's nothing going to the net. It's a one and done shot every time. They'll throw a shot at the net, and they'll usually miss because they're shooting high, and it'll hit the glass behind the net. Defenseman will get it, throw it down the ice. It's one and done every single time. I mean, I get why Evason is playing that first unit so much because, I mean, look at all the skill on that unit. It's insane. But I think that second unit deserves some run on the basis alone of how horrible that first unit's been. And I don't get it. They play so good 5-on-5. And then when it's like they're trying too hard almost to get the perfect shot when you just need to throw crap at the net. And that's what they were doing in game 2. even a little in game 3 as well. So like, just throw crap at the net. Goofy stuff happens, especially a goalie who hasn't, Binnington has.
Oh yeah, he's been ice cold sitting on the bench for how long now?
Exactly, and he lost his last 9 playoff games coming into today. So
Mm-hmm.
it's disappointing from the standpoint that there's so many injuries on St. Louis's blue line. I mean, I'm guessing a few of them are still going to be out probably for the remainder of the series, but you'd have to think they'll get at least 1 or 2 guys back here before the series wraps up. So it's disappointing that we weren't able to capitalize on that opportunity because, I mean, they got basically nobody on their defense right now. But I got to give credit to their forwards and Binnington as well. I mean, all those guys played phenomenal today.
Yeah, they're responding in a way you'd hope they would when they're down 2-1 and
Yeah.
you're about to leave the home city after this because they're going down 3-1 and you'd have to win 3 row, including 2 road games. Like that's a real uphill climb. So they played just how you'd hope they would. But unfortunately for the Wild, like I said, I mean, game 4 win here, going up 3-1 with a bunch of chances like this to go just win one more game to clinch a series. Like that's huge. But kind of turning the focus, I guess, off of that to a game 5, I feel like this is turning into a very pivotal game because I mean, whoever
Yes.
loses has got to win against a good hockey team in back-to-back games. So,
Mm-hmm.
and especially for the Wild, when you got the home ice, like you got to protect that pretty well.
Yeah, no kidding. It's a massive game. If they win, I really like their chances. I honestly think if they win game 5, they could win game 6. But of course, I think the same way about the Blues too, like because then they're going back to St. Louis with that 3-2 lead. So yeah, it's going to be a massive game. Obviously, the crowd's going to be up for it, even though it's another 8:30 start time, which is absolutely ridiculous. But it's the way this national televised playoff schedule is for both basketball and hockey. It's unfortunate that we're the Western Conference, even though we're in the Midwest. But it's just the way it is, I guess. So I don't know, man. I'm not going to complain because I'm all for a good series. If it goes 7 games and we win in 7, then you can sit back and say, wow, that was a phenomenal series and we pulled it out.
True.
But how come a Minnesota team, especially the Wild in recent memory too, like we can't just win in like 5 or 6 games. It's like, it's got to go 7. Like it's got to be like the other team's got to win 2 games. We can't just we can't just win, let them win 1 game and then be done. It's like, meanwhile, Colorado's smoking Nashville. They're probably going to sweep them and be waiting for a week before our series is over.
Yeah, true. I know that would be nice, but I guess in the end, whatever it takes just to get by, whether that's 7 games and 4 games, whatever it might be. But obviously, the more games you play, the more like fluky things can happen, like injuries and stuff, where that could hinder you not only like in this series, but if you advance past this first round and get into a matchup with like Colorado where you need all hands on deck. So yeah, it'd be nice to wrap this up as quick as possible. So it's unfortunate we lost game 4, but not the end of the world. And kind of building off that too. I can be at ease with this loss a lot more than I could after game 1. I feel like I was ready to hit the panic button after game 1 just a little bit because obviously the track record against the Blues has not been very good the last few years, but now it feels like that's been reset. We had a couple good wins against them in games 2 and 3 where we scored the first 4 goals of the game. I think that's what this game 5 might really come down to. It's just really setting the pace early, getting the momentum right away, getting the crowd into it, get an early lead that you can build off of and put the other team on their heels. So I think it's going to be really important to set the tone there and score the first goal.
For sure. And I agree with you. Game 1 was concerning because we completely got outplayed, even though the shot on goal, I think we had more shots than they did in game 1.
Yeah.
But, we got outplayed in that game. Whereas in this game, I felt it was very much back and forth for a good majority of the game. And obviously games 2 and 3, the Wild played phenomenal. So, they just got to figure it out, come back, score some more goals. I think they need to be more aggressive. Obviously, the passing needs to be cleaner and the puck handling. And I don't know. I thought that ice in St. Louis was a little shoddy too. I saw a lot of guys lose the edge on their skate, multiple times, both Wild and Blues players in these last 2 games. So I'm not sure what the deal was there, but I guess any other final thoughts from you on the way this series is going? Do you think it'll be Fleury still, or do you think they maybe roll with Talbot?
I think it'll be Fleury still. I just, based off Evason's reasoning, I got to believe it's going to be him until proven otherwise, because it's like 3 Stanley Cups. That's like the end of that. That's all you need to say. And so I think it's going to be him. I think it would take a Fleury injury it wouldn't even have to be, I guess, a significant injury for Fleury to sit him down, like any excuse maybe. But if he's not 100%, then they throw Talbot out there. You'd have to have, as far as performance goes, he'd have to play like terrible in one of these games to end up riding the pine. So I don't have any reason to expect it's not Fleury. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it'll be Fleury too. I think if we do lose Game 5, though, I could definitely see them making the switch because I feel like Talbot's kind of your break glass in case of emergency
Good
type
point.
player. Because
Yeah,
I mean, look at that. The Blues switched goalies. Not that Binnington was amazing today, but like I mean, he
new
only gave up
energy.
2 goals. Yeah, different type of energy. No fluky goals, that's for sure. So
Hmm.
I mean, maybe that's just a thing that changes a little bit of momentum. So I wouldn't try to change anything too much for Game 5, just because I think it looks like we're still relatively healthy. I didn't see anybody get hurt today that I know of.
Hmm.
Uh, and we got outplayed, but they were the home team. They had the energy from the crowd, and we came pretty dang close. Honestly, we had some good chances there late in the third before we pulled the goalie, and just came up a little short. So I'm not too worried about it. I think, like you said, just got to win the home games from here on out, and it'll be a fascinating series. And here's another thing I'll say too is I think it benefits us a little bit if Colorado does have that rest time. Maybe they're a little rusty coming out in Game 1, and you can steal one from them on the road.
Yeah, absolutely. If
I
you're
don't want to look
like,
too far ahead, but
no, I definitely get what you're saying. I mean, for either of these teams, really, when you play, obviously, this is a grinder of a series, like very physical. You're going to get beat up, but at the same time, you feel like if you advance from this first round matchup, like you have this great momentum off a huge series victory, and then you're going
yep,
against a team that, like you said, might come out a little rusty because they haven't played in a week by that time. So I think that could definitely play to the advantage of a hot start, but obviously it's going to take a lot more than a hot start to win that. But I mean, any edge you can get against Colorado would be massive, just because they were just about at the top of the whole NHL standings, not only in the Central Division, but with everybody in the league. I think they're only behind the Panthers, I'm going to say. But
yes. And the Panthers
so
are down 2-1 in their series.
yeah, which is kind of nuts.
It's crazy. That's a team that hasn't learned how to play really in the playoffs yet, though.
Well,
So you
that
got the
won a fir-
Cap.
that won a playoff series in 26 years.
Exactly. You got a Capitals team that's been there before and won a Stanley Cup. So
Yeah,
yeah, and that I mean Colorado, Nashville, I thought would maybe put up a little bit better of a fight just because they're a way more physical team. Try to slow them down, but they haven't been able to
yeah,
slow them down at all. It's really been a bloodbath, honestly, in that series.
yeah. No
So
kidding. Because I mean, even the close game, like the Avalanche still put like 50 shots on the net. The
yeah,
goalie was just standing on his head. I mean, there are all these crazy plays, but they still found a way to win anyway.
exactly. So it feels a little hopeless for Nashville at this point, but yeah, hopefully the Wild come back, take one in Game 5, and then we'll be feeling really good, only needing to win one more game with 2 remaining. So
Exactly.
that will do it for this edition of the North Star Takes podcast. Like I said earlier, please click the like button on this video and subscribe to our channel. Feel free to give us a follow on both Twitter and Instagram. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. What were your observations from Game 4? Any observations from the series at large and what you expect going forward? So until next time, thanks for watching.